Hey everyone, welcome to Viewer Mail. I thought I'd do like a site-specific viewer mail. Hold on. I'm in the middle of this giant plumbing project that started out as a really simple leak that I noticed, just this little drip. And because this is a really old house, it became a really big project. But I just made a video about the beginning of it, and my voice is going here. And I'm going to build a playlist for all the videos I talk about today, and the link for all those videos will be at the end of the show, and then there'll be that eye in the sky thing that pops up here somewhere later on in the show as well. All right, but first, let's talk about this. Last week I posted a cooking video about one-pot pasta, and I am not the inventor of the one-pot pasta, but I thought, let's share this. Maybe there's some people out there that haven't heard about it, and I love pasta in general, as you know. And there's a brilliant simplicity to it. The whole idea is that the cooking water that the pasta cooks in becomes part of the sauce, and you don't use a lot of cooking water. I don't know if I ever made a video about how to cook pasta, but you don't need to fill the whole pot with water. You only need to fill it with like this much water, and it cooks really well. But anyway, that small amount of water, the starches from the pasta start to go into the water, and it becomes like a starchy noodle broth, and you add into that some other stuff and it becomes a tomato sauce, which is pretty cool. But it's got a lot of fun comments about people making suggestions to add stuff in. So let's read those. N.R. Simmons says, I subbed spinach and added chopped garlic, shallots, and bacon. Yum! Oh, and an easier way to cut the cherry tomatoes, put them between two plates with bolt plate bottoms above and below. Using one hand to steady the plate, slice through all the tomatoes. Hope that makes sense. Thanks for the recipe. Yeah! I've never tried to cut cherry tomatoes that way, but I guess we'll have to see what happens with that there. But yeah, I mean, use what you got. Bacon works in a lot of places. Gabriel said, breaking the spaghetti in half doesn't make it cook faster, just makes shorter noodles. And for my pot, I broke the longer spaghetti noodles in half. I should have said to fit easier in the pot. I think that they'll cook faster, maybe because they're not as long. I don't know, I guess we could do a test about it, but a couple of cons. James said it's mainly mental, but it may be slightly fast because each entire noodle is in the water at the same moment. Love your vids. See, if you just say that, I mention you. And then Chaz want to know, why don't I just make my own pasta? And I do, and I think we've made a pasta making video. If not, if we do, it'll be in the playlist for this episode. The link will be below here and at the end of the show. All right? But homemade pasta is a beautiful thing. Just one-pot pasta is a beautiful thing. You can come home, if you have some kale or spinach or some kind of green broccoli, frozen broccoli, even peas if you want. You can throw that in with some cherry tomatoes or a small can of sauce. Might be too watery. But let me know what you think in the show notes below here, or comment on the original video, which will be in our playlist for this viewer mail. All right? I also made a video about how to dig or build or put together what's called a French drain. And a French drain is essentially a surface drain for water is collecting somewhere and you want it to go away, basically. There's an interesting interview that Eric did on Root Simple with a gentleman who does these kind of naturalistic permaculture gardens, and they were actually using swales and French drains to keep water in a place rather than making it go away. And I thought that was very interesting. So just you can create like a swale, which is a dip in the soil, in the ground like this, and then it mounds up a little bit so water would go in and then stay there or be diverted away. A French drain has that same dip, but there's gravel and a pipe to help it go away. But the whole idea of wanting to keep the water somewhere is brilliant. You know, if you have, say you have some plants that like a moister ground, you could build a swale to collect water that comes off a hill. Instead of running down the hill into a lake or something, you could have a swale that would collect some of that water for those plants, or just keep water nearby in general. I thought that was really brilliant. I'll link to Kelly and Eric's podcast in the show notes below here. But Root Simple Podcast, just type that into iTunes and boom, it'll be there. They're kind of our West Coast version of GardenFork. They're West Coasty, definitely. A little different than the East Coasty guys here. But we're all one big country, right? We're more alike than we are unalike. Keep that in mind. Ian Alexa, maybe? Great video. I've been thinking about doing this for a while now. Why wouldn't you want to install a gutter downspout into your French drain? Excellent question, because right where we put the French drain, there was also a rain gutter, which is the first thing you want to do to keep water away from your foundation. A French drain can be the second or third thing. But there was a downspout coming down the same place that the French drain pipe was going, and going down the hill to get the water away from my house. You don't want to connect the two. I mean, it's just one extra piece of pipe to have the gutter have its own drain pipe. And you can put it underground, just put some grass on top. You want it to be like this far underground though, or else the grass won't grow. But you don't want to connect the two, because if the French drain ever gets a clog, or maybe a chipmunk fills it up with leaves or something, that gutter will basically fill up the ditch you dug to try and drain the water away. The water is going to come down and fill up this whole gravel area instead of the water going down the hill and away. I actually never made that mistake. I actually read about that in a couple different places and was like, oh, that's really smart. So I put in a second drain pipe with the French drain pipe to go away. That's really important, I think. Finally, this thing. I made a video about this. I made a video about the first day of this project, and it ended up being like an 8-minute video, but that was a 12-hour day. It was kind of interesting to compress time like that. But there's always like surprises in older buildings, and this, I just found another surprise last night because the kitchen drain plumbing collapsed because I had to move some of it, and it just was like, so that's adding to the project. But here's my notes. David, this is typical of there were tons of comments in the video. I really was surprised. I thought, well, that's a plumbing video. I don't know if people are really going to watch it. But David said, a difficult job well done. It's always good to be in a calm mood and state of mind when doing this kind of DIY project. Plumbing can be frustrating and messy. And yeah, it was messy and a little frustrating, but I don't get nearly as wound up anymore. And we've talked about this on the GardenFork Radio podcast, but I now meditate. And that may seem kind of like woo and hippie-like, but you know that part of your brain, that voice in your brain that is always kind of running, has a running commentary about everything? Like, you go to the home improvement store and you don't like that the guy parked his car in the loading zone and then just walked in, knowing that he's never going to move that car for the next hour while he's shopping, and it just kind of gets on you. Or, someone cuts you off when you're driving, or someone's rude in the grocery store. And yeah, that can bother you, but it shouldn't grind on you the whole day. And I was having that kind of thing go on, and I watched we talk about all this on basically 2 meditation episodes on the GardenFork Radio podcast, so I'll link to those. But there's a TV news guy named Dan Harris, I think he's with CBS News, who had a meltdown on air. And he had kind of a twisted path to trying to dealing with his anxiety attacks and depression. And he came upon meditation finally to help him with that. And talk therapy is also very good. They can combine the two. And he gave a talk about that, part of a Google talk, which is like a TED talk, but it's run by Google. And somebody in the audience asked, what would be a good app to start to learn about meditation? And he said Headspace. And I was like, oh, Headspace. So I typed that in, and I downloaded the app. And I think that the first 10 days are free. And it shows you in a kind of visual way how to start meditating. And I really kind of connected with the guy.
Say hello to Headspace. Think of it like a gym membership for the mind. Using proven meditation and mindfulness techniques, we'll show you how to train your mind for a healthier, happier, more enjoyable life. Now, you can get Headspace on your phone or on your computer. Just open up the app or visit the site in your browser and follow the simple instructions to get going.
And I learned how to meditate. I had tried a couple times by reading books and stuff, and it just wouldn't work, and you're supposed to focus on the breath and all this. And he made it okay to fail. And no rules aren't to fail, but you're not going to be perfect at it right away. And yeah, you can kind of empty your mind, but then thoughts come back. And he made it okay for that to happen while you're trying to learn. And now I meditate every day. It's like 10 or 15 minutes out of my day, and it just makes things much easier. So projects like this, it's kind of a long way to get back to the project. I don't get nearly as the head grinding thing about projects like this. I still get excited about it, and I love to do them. But when stuff goes wrong, it doesn't color the whole day. And at the end of the day, I'm not a grouch anymore. So try it out. Try it out for yourself. Try it out for your spouse. I've been kind of an evangelist about it. It's kind of like people that do CrossFit, they want to tell everyone. But Headspace is the app. Just type that into the Apple or Android app stores and download it. After the first 10 days, there is a fee, but man, I think it's totally worth it. So there you go, my little soapbox there. All right, there you go. A little bit of viewer mail, a little bit of Eric's thoughts. Always like to hear from you guys. Comments below. I don't know if we have a pasta making video. I make pasta. I don't know, there's like 400 videos now. But if you want to watch more of GardenFork or learn more about me, all that information is in the show notes below here. All right, so make it a great day. I'll see you later.